So this relatively small YouTube channel by the name of Samdoesarts did this challenge called the Opposite OC Challenge.
Today we're gonna try the Opposite OC Challenge.
And he created a masterpiece. So naturally, I thought I would give it a try as well. What is this challenge, you might ask? Well, here it is.
Time for the Opposite OC Challenge. Their eye color is whatever your least favorite color is. The skin color is the color of your least favorite food. If it's daytime where you are, make a night in your drawing. And if it's nighttime, make a day. If you prefer cold weather or hot weather, have your OC live in the opposite climate. And if you have short hair, give them long hair, and vice versa. Okay, artists, let's see your character.
So I started with a pretty sloppy sketch, and every 5 minutes, the proportions change pretty drastically because I'm quite clueless as to what I'm doing half the time. I'm sure looking at pose and anatomy references would really help, but sometimes I just want to sit down and blindly draw. Not every art piece has to be a study or requires big brain thoughts. So I actually have pretty long hair in real life, and typically all of my OCs have long hair as well. So drawing short hair was actually very refreshing, and it was a lot less troublesome of like drawing beautiful long locks of wavy, intricate strands. So I actually had quite a bit of fun just drawing sharp angles and thicker shapes that come with like shorter hair. And I thought I would plop in a really cute braid just to give it a little bit more personality. Once I added the hat, I started getting really excited because I feel like props really bring a character to life and add a lot more information to the story. She went from being like an average girl on an average day to being a bit more fashionable with a little bit more of a story around her. She's clearly in a cool environment now that she has a hat on, and I think it makes you kind of wonder like where she could be, what she could be doing, who's taking the photo of her type thing. When it comes to my least favorite color, I had a hard time picking between like a very pukey green or a very hot pink, and I ended up going with the hot pink, which is actually kind of ironic because my favorite color is a very rusty, dull kind of pink. Matte, one might say maybe. So I ended up going with hot pink because it's a color that I never paint with. As for the skin color, I might receive some judgment for this, but my least favorite food is ketchup. And I don't even know if that can be classified as food because it's like a condiment, but it's edible and you can eat it, and it's made from tomatoes, which is like a physical food. But I just hate ketchup, and there's actually a story behind why I hate ketchup. It all started when I was a wee lad in elementary school. We were at lunch and one of my classmates was just eating pure ketchup. She was licking it off the plate and like dipping her fingers in it and licking her fingers. And I remember just watching her do that, and I just could not stomach ketchup anymore after that. So the challenge didn't have any requirements on the hair color. So I just did like a bluish black because the opposite of red is green, and blue is really close to green. So I felt like it complemented the red pretty well, having a cool color right next to a warm color. And then for the hat, I filled it in with red just to have a color there. And then I was playing with the hue and saturation adjustments. And when it landed on hot pink, I was like, this matches her eyes really well. And I kind of found myself enjoying the pink a lot. I even added it to her coat as like the trim. And I love when spots of color continue throughout a piece and it really is cohesive. And yeah, this challenge kind of made me like hot pink. So don't ever be afraid to try things you dislike, and you might find yourself liking them all of a sudden, as long as it's not like cocaine or something. So on top of all my flat colors, I added a multiply layer with a kind of like a bluish gray, and I started painting in shadows with the thought process that my light was coming from above. I tried to really force myself not to over render this because I have a terrible tendency to want to add a ton of details, and it's kind of ironic because I actually really enjoy simplistic styles, and then the perfectionism in me makes me over render my art, and so I really have to watch myself and force myself not to over render it. I made sure the highlights on her face were more bluish, especially because this painting is in a cold climate because I really prefer warm climates. So the challenge called for you to do the opposite of what you prefer. So I felt like the blue of the sky and the white of the snow around her would kind of cast brighter, cooler highlights onto her. And I just slapped a bunch of snow everywhere with like motion and Gaussian blur. And it's quite amazing how something so quick and sloppy can like really elevate a piece, because it suddenly feels like she's in an environment now when there's like an overlap of environment and character. And then I took some time to paint in some trees in the background. I made sure not to focus too much on the details because I'm blurring it anyway. Once I had the trees and the snow in there, I really felt the piece was coming together. And she either looks like a Martian with red skin who is trying to blend in with society maybe, or she looks like a really sunburnt girl that just got off of vacation in like a really sunny state or country. So yeah, I had a lot of fun branching out of my comfort zone and trying new colors and methods and hairstyles. And I think when we branch out of comfort, we learn a lot of new things. So I definitely recommend you try this challenge if you're bored or whatever. But that's really all I have for today. Thank you for getting this far into the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.